So after hours and hours and hours of Dana White essentially edging UFC fans, we finally got the big announcement that was supposed to come our way much earlier yesterday. I stayed up till 2 a.m. This got announced at 4 a.m. I ain't staying up to watch that. You know what I mean? I'm not staying up to listen to that unless it's a fight card. If it's a fight card, different story. I'll stay up all fucking night. But we finally got the UFC 327 main card and prelims. We got all of the fights for us, and we're going to talk about some of them. This is not going to be a very long video because I want to keep this one short and sweet, right? We're going to talk about the main event here. We got Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Now, we were kind of expecting this one. What we didn't expect is Dana White to not announce Alex Pereira's next fight, because he also said that Alex Pereira will be moving up to heavyweight in his next match. Now, we don't have an opponent as of right now. Are we going to get John Jones at the White House? I don't think so. Are we going to get Cyril Gane for the fucking interim heavyweight championship or the vacant heavyweight championship while Tom Aspinall is out fixing up his eye? I don't know that either. We were expecting to get that yesterday. We didn't get it. That's fine. We got some fights to talk about now. Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Now, Jiri Prochazka hasn't lost to anyone in the UFC who is not named Alex Pereira. The question is Carlos Ulberg going to be the guy to snap that? I don't know. This is a good matchup. They always seem to stack Miami cards. This is in Miami. This is in the Kaseya Center. And yeah, we got Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Vacant light heavyweight title. The run is back. Jiri Prochazka is back. And we are going to be undisputed again. We're not losing to Carlos Ulberg. You know what I'm saying? Male stripper, you know what I'm saying? City kickboxing, the zestiest group in MMA, you know what I'm saying? Carlos Ulberg got chinned in his first fight against Kennedy Nzechukwu in the UFC. Who's to say that... First and foremost, I want to just point out that Carlos Ulberg is not very good at fighting on the back foot, right? He likes to fight at his own pace. He likes to fight pretty. Jiri Prochazka is a fucking car crash. He's not going to let you do that. This is a fairly simple one to me. I think Jiri Prochazka is going to go out and get a highlight reel fucking finish. End up as the champion, which will top off UFC 327. This is going to be an amazing card for the fans. This is littered with fucking finishes, and we're going to talk about them. So you... Jesus Christ. So Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg is the top fight of the night. In the co-main event, which we thought was the main event for a while, soon to be disclosed by ESPN and a bunch of other Serbian fucking Czech betting companies that basically leaked this before it got announced, we're ending up having Tatsuro Taira versus Josh Van in the co-main event. Now, this is a banger fight. Josh Van versus Tatsuro Taira. Fun fact, this is the first fight in UFC history, in title fight history, where both fighters are Gen Z. Both of these guys have been born after 2000. And this is history. This is history for the UFC. So in the co-main event and the main event, we've got massive stakes, massive ramifications. I understand Alessandro Pantoja is still out. He does look like he's ready to come back. Whether he's going to get the winner of this or not, it seems like it probably is going to be the case. So we've got Josh Van versus Tatsuro Taira. Banger fight. Next up, we've got Curtis Blaydes versus Josh Hokit. Josh Hokit seems to be getting served all of these big names relatively early on in his UFC career, or at least it seems like that's going to be the way going forward. Now, a lot of people are saying, Curtis Blaydes needs to find new management. No. If you look at the UFC heavyweight division, Rizvan Kuniev, he had Curtis Blaydes and Jelton Almeida back to back. And we also saw Talison Teixeira get Derek Lewis in his second UFC fight. Curtis Blaydes doesn't need new management. The UFC heavyweight division is just that bad that the UFC are trying to breathe new life into it. And I don't hate that. I think that's a good idea. And I do personally think that Curtis Blaydes is going to beat Josh Hokit. But if Josh Hokit wins that fight, that's cinema. That's a massive storyline. Heavyweight gets new faces. This is what we've been trying to get for the longest fucking time. Now it's happening. Why are we complaining? And in the next fight down, we've got Beneil Dariush versus Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres finally getting the recognition that he deserves. And believe it or not, this guy has actually been given pretty tough comp on his way up. right? He fought Ignacio Bahamondes. He lost that fight. It is what it is. Then he fought Drew Dober. That was 10 months and 4 weeks ago. Then he fought Grant Dawson. KO'd him. Grant Dawson's got an incredible record. He's a solid fighter. Boring as fuck, but solid fighter. And now he draws Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is obviously fresh off of a KO loss to Benoit Saint-Denis. That happened in the first round. Before that, he beat Renato Moicano in June 2025. But before that, he lost to Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira. So the UFC have not been very kind to our boy Beneil Dariush. But that's okay, because it is what it is. Some of these guys have to get sacrificed. And I think Manuel Torres is a nightmare matchup for Beneil Dariush. Is he going to take him down and submit him? I don't think so. Is he even going to be able to impose his will well enough to get some momentum off Manuel Torres? I don't think so. And rankings-wise, ranked 12th Beneil Dariush versus ranked 14th Manuel Torres, it makes sense. Divisionally, it makes sense. In terms of shifting up the bottom feed tier of the lightweight division, it makes sense. This seems like a card that is going to breathe new fighters into their respective divisions. And you know what? I commend the UFC for that. And it almost makes me not as pissed off that Dana White made me stay up till fucking 3 a.m. to not even get an announcement. Okay? And to open up the main card, we've got Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. Cinema. You know what I'm saying? This is probably the goofiest fight within recent memory. Dominic Reyes did just get knocked the fuck out by Carlos Ulberg, which is why Carlos Ulberg is drawing Jiri Prochazka. Could you imagine if we saw Dominic Reyes versus Jiri Prochazka number 2? He's already eaten enough of the floor with that spinning elbow that he took back then. And this is basically a tale of stoppable force versus movable object. Johnny Walker is known for having one of the most suspect chins in the light heavyweight division. Dominic Reyes is known for being one of the most KO'able fighters in the light heavyweight division. So when these two guys collide, who knows what's going to happen? I certainly don't. And if you're a betting man, then you are fucked. I actually can't wait for this fight. Outside of the main event, and to be honest, the co-main event, this is probably the fight that I'm looking forward to the most. Just because of the eventualities that could come from it, right? Who's going to get KO'd first? Who's going to be eating the canvas? Because I guarantee you that one of these guys is going to be fucking sleeping when they face each other at UFC 327. And we're going to roll on to the prelims, where we've got a banger of a fight headlining the prelims. We've got Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa. We knew about this fight for quite some time. Paulo Costa is moving up to light heavyweight, and he's facing a fat, chubby Russian. Now, Murzakanov is known for swarming his opponents, landing damage, finishing the fight relatively quick. He's also 38 years old, or 37, I don't know. He's old as fuck. But he's facing Paulo Costa, who has a solid chin, who is very physical, who's faster than Murzakanov, has actually proved himself against the best in the UFC. And this wasn't a prediction video, but I think Paulo Costa is going to absolutely smoke him. And if Paulo Costa is an underdog, fucking take my money. Before that fight, we've got Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. Now, I don't know what sort of dirt Aaron Pico has on the UFC, but they keep throwing him to these fucking high-level fights. You know what I'm saying? Drew Laurent Murphy in his UFC debut was meant to have Movsar Evloev in his fucking UFC debut. This guy's got a record of 13-5. What the fuck? But anyway, he draws a 40-year-old Patricio Pitbull who's 1-1 in the UFC, who is currently ranked 12. So the UFC are looking to get Aaron Pico in the rankings real quick. And respect to Pico, he's an exciting fighter. Very, very heavy on the forward pressure. Very good wrestler. Sometimes it ends up fucking meaning that he gets KO'd going in for a wrestling exchange, getting spinning elbows sent to the canvas in a fight that was meant to be your coming out party, a fight that was meant to be getting you the Volkanovski fight, but he obviously dropped that one and now he's drawing Patricio Pitbull. And coming up before that fight, we've got Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovic. Now, Esteban Ribovic is one of my favourite fighters at the moment in the UFC. Banger after banger after banger. Put on that absolute banger, fight of the year contender against Daniel Zellhuber back in 2024 at UFC Noche. So in storyline fashion, we've got arguably one of the most boring fighters in the lightweight division. I'm not saying that, that is fans' perception in Mateusz Gamrot versus one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC in Esteban Ribovic. KO'd Terrence McKinney with a head kick. Sent him out. Gregor Gillespie versus Kevin Lee style, slumped up against a fence like this. Then had two absolute scraps with Nasrat Haqparast and Elvis Brenner following that. Lost one against Haqparast, won one against Elvis Brenner. And to me, is Mateusz Gamrot going to be able to chain wrestle himself away from getting completely fucking chinned in this fight? I don't know. What I do know is that it makes for a banger matchup. Then we got Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. I don't really need to say much about this fight. OGs know that this is going to satisfy every Just Bleed believer out there. Cub Swanson, the OG, been in the game for years and years versus fucking Nate Train, baby. Woo! And before that, we got Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown, another one that we knew. Two lanky, specifically looking guys. The war of the snipers, as some may say. Stay on the range, pick your shots. I think personally this is probably going to be a pretty boring fight, very tit for tat. Maybe one of them gets a fucking straight right hand reaching from 6 feet outwards. And then before that, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. Kelvin Gastelum coming back down to welterweight? No! This fight is at middleweight. We're going to see middleweight Vicente Luque. Blockhead Kelvin Gastelum with a chin of fucking adamantium versus Vicente Luque, the brain surgery victim. Absolutely torched by Joaquin Buckley in one of his recent fights. Once upon a time, he was the guy in the welterweight division, and since then, he's lost to Kevin Holland by submission, and he's also lost to Joel Alvarez by decision. And that fight was a pity party. Joel Alvarez didn't look for the finish, arguably because he felt bad that this motherfucker had brain surgery and he was fucking this close to death. Now, stylistically and skill-wise, Vicente Luque is more skillful than Kelvin Gastelum. But Kelvin Gastelum is a block of iron. And he's coming off of a win against Dustin Stoltzfus. He got himself back in the win column after losing a decision to Joe Pyfer. Before that, he beat Daniel Rodriguez. He's been going through the unks. Before that, he lost to Sean Brady. Before that, he won to Chris Curtis. It's been win-loss, win-loss, win for Kelvin Gastelum. Coming off of a win, facing Vicente Luque at middleweight. Has Vicente Luque still got it? I don't think so. Is Kelvin Gastelum going to come away and win this potentially as an underdog? I think so. And then before that, we've got Tatiana Suarez. What a fall from grace. She was meant to be the one, the chosen one. Ended up losing a bunch of fights. Didn't pull through against Weili Zhang, but since got a win against Amanda Lemos. It's just a top 10 WMMA fight. You know what I'm saying? Not championship quality. So, you know what I mean? If you need a wee, there's your moment. Then we got Christopher Alvarez versus Francisco Prado, which will, of course, be a back and forth war. Someone's going to get cut. Francisco Prado usually gets cut, usually ends up in the fight looking like a fucking whole mess. But yeah, this is the card. This is the announcement. It came at 4 a.m. last night. Jack is annoyed. Jack is pissed off. Jack made a reel this morning, half asleep, saying, what the fuck, Dana? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? This is the main card. UFC 327 in Miami, April 11th. This is going to be a banger card. I'm super excited for this. As I said, Miami always shows out. They always like to stack the cards. They always like to fill the arena with celebrities and have more fucking crowd cams than any other event. But yeah, this is a banger card. I can't fucking wait for it. Let me know what fight you are most excited for. I really like to hear. I'm personally looking forward to the main and the co-main event and that Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker fight, baby. I can't wait. Also, Josh Hokit, that's going to be fun. Turn up to the press conference wearing some fucking Jedi Sith, whatever, you know what I mean, outfit. And I think this is going to be good fun. I genuinely think press conference alone, Josh Hokit might steal the show, but you never know. And that's going to do it for today's video. Nice and quick. I just want to hear your opinions on this card. What fight you're most excited for? Let me know in the comments. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of that great stuff. I hope you're having an amazing weekend, and I will see you later. UFC Mexico City takes place tonight, and we're going to be recapping it tomorrow. I will see you then. Thank you.